You are standing on the deck of a small boat in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. There is no land in any direction. There is no GPS. There is no compass. There is no clock. There is no map. You are trying to reach a specific island roughly 2,000 miles away. Not a continent, not a coast, but a single small landmass, smaller than a city, somewhere in front of you, somewhere over the horizon, somewhere in the dark of the next several nights. You have your eyes, you have the stars, you have the angle of the swell against the hull, you have in your head a system of memorized rising and setting points for several dozen specific stars. You have your ancestors' songs about how this exact route goes. You begin. 20 days later, you arrive. This is not a hypothetical. It is what Polynesian navigators were doing routinely 1,000 years before Magellan was born. We have a quiet, modern assumption that finding your way without a map is impossibly hard, that ancient humans must have stuck close to obvious landmarks, that long-distance navigation was reserved for rare specialists or shamans. The evidence does not support this. Our ancestors crossed continents, oceans, deserts, and ice fields on foot and in small boats without instruments for tens of thousands of years. They had a different relationship to space than we do. They were not impressed by it, and we still have most of what they used. Chapter 1. The stars, the sun, the waves. The first set of tools was the sky. A Polynesian navigator's star compass divides the horizon into a series of named houses, each anchored to the rising or setting point of a specific star. By memorizing the houses where particular stars rise and set, and the order in which they do so through the night, a skilled navigator can fix a direction within a degree or two. Once a chosen star rises too high to use, the navigator picks the next one rising in the same house and steers by that. By dawn, the sun takes over. This is not folk wisdom. It is a precise, learnable system. In the 1970s, the Hawaiian Voyaging Society began working with a Micronesian master navigator named Mau Piailug, one of the last people alive who had been trained in this tradition from childhood. He sailed the Hokule'a canoe from Hawaii to Tahiti in 1976 using only the star compass, the swell, and the birds. He did it again and trained others to do it. The tradition was almost lost. It is not lost. It is not just the stars. Polynesian navigators could detect distant islands by reading the shape of the swell, the way ocean waves bent and broke around land masses still over the horizon. They could see islands they could not see by feeling them through the hull of the canoe. They watched the morning and evening flight of certain birds who flew out to feed in the open ocean and returned to land at dusk. The direction of their return was a finger pointed straight at the next island. Inuit hunters did the analog work in snow. The direction of drift, the angle of carved sastrugi, the colors of cloud reflected from open water, the smells of distant ice. The Tuareg in the Sahara, the San in the Kalahari, the Sami in the Arctic, every culture that has had to move long distances across uniform-looking terrain has developed a deep, embodied, multi-sensory way of reading it. None of them used a map. Chapter 2. Songs that are maps. In Aboriginal Australia, the practice goes one strange step further. The continent is laid over in cultural memory with what are called songlines. Each songline is a song, sometimes a long one, whose lyrics describe a sequence of features along a specific path through the land. Rivers, rocks, waterholes, ancestral events, dangerous places, safe ones. The songs run for thousands of kilometers. They cross language groups. The music changes from one nation to the next, but the route holds. A person who knows the song can navigate the route even if they have never walked it. This is, in cognitive terms, an extraordinary feat. The land is not memorized as a map seen from above. It is memorized as a sequence experienced from the ground, encoded in melody, rhythm, and lyric. The song is the map. The walking is the reading of the song. Anthropologists who have studied songlines have estimated that some of the longer ones encode geographic information that would take many hundreds of pages to write down. The Aboriginal navigators were carrying the equivalent of an atlas in their lungs. Chapter 3. The grid cells you still have. Here is the part that should startle you. In 1971, the neuroscientist John O'Keefe discovered that certain neurons in the hippocampus of rats fire only when the rat is in a specific location. He called them place cells. They are, in effect, the dots on a map your brain is drawing. In 2005, the husband and wife team of Edvard and May-Britt Moser discovered something even stranger. In the entorhinal cortex, a region right next to the hippocampus, they found grid cells, neurons that fire when the animal is at the vertices of an imaginary, evenly spaced hexagonal grid laid over the environment. Your brain, without your permission, lays a continuous hexagonal grid over every space you walk through. As you move, place cells, grid cells, head direction cells, border cells, and speed cells all fire in coordination to maintain a running, updated, internal map of where you are and where you are going. O'Keefe and the Mosers won the Nobel Prize in 2014 for this work. It applies to humans. The same circuits exist. You are running them right now. In recent years, there has even been preliminary evidence, Joseph Kirschvink and colleagues in eNeuro 2019, that some humans show measurable brainwave responses to changes in magnetic field similar to those seen in migratory birds. The data is early. The implication is large. We may have, in some quiet residual way, a sense of north. The map is not gone. We just stopped reading it. So the next time you turn on your phone to find your way somewhere, try not to feel too dependent on it. You still have everything your ancestors used. The stars are still rising in the same houses. The sun is still arcing across the same sky. The swell is still bending around islands. The grid cells in your entorhinal cortex are still firing in lockstep with the place cells in your hippocampus, drawing a continuous map of every room you have ever walked through and every street you have ever taken. You did not lose the map. The map is in your skull. What you lost was the practice. Your ancestors crossed deserts and oceans by attention. You still have the attention. You still have the cells. You still have the same brain. You just have to look up. I'm Kyurio, and you'll find me on your screens twice every week with many more stories and facts. Till then, stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you soon.